So today I want to talk to you about background fabric because I think when I went back to stitch, one of the things that was very confusing to me was, is this okay to stitch on? And you know what? You are going to be surprised at my answer. My answer is this: if you can get a needle through it, if you can get the fiber you want to use through that needle and pull it through the fabric, you can use it. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be any more difficult than that. But there are a few things to consider. So I'll turn the camera around and show you what I mean. So you know what I wish somebody had told me when I first started stitching? I wish they had said, Susan, don't go out and spend a lot of money on fancy fabrics because you don't need it. You don't need to buy expensive linen. You're not even sure if you're going to stick with this because, you kind of tend to jump around from a lot of stuff. So this is just a cheap piece of felt, and look at this. Needle goes right through. My fatter needle, it's like butter. This is a really inexpensive way to get started and see if you even like stitch, because maybe you don't. I would be shocked because I think everybody should fall in love with stitch, but that's another video. The most important thing about picking your fabric for stitch, which is also something that nobody told me, is you just got to make sure your needle is going to go through. I mean, look at that. It just slides right on through. Now, this is another thing you can find at the thrift store. This is just an old napkin. It probably has a little bit of polyester in it. You can stitch on polyester. You don't have to be a purist unless you want to be. But you want your needle to go very nicely in there, because by the time you get it threaded with fibers, you don't want to be fighting with it every time you're trying to stitch. This is an old flannel sheet, also picked up at the thrift store. Look at how beautifully my big fat needle goes through there. It doesn't matter. It's going to be wonderful. If you live in an area where wool blankets are available, this is just some wool felt. That works really well, but let's see. This is all wool from a gal on Etsy who does reclaimed fabrics, and I'll put her link down in the description. But look at how nicely a needle goes through there. It's beautiful. Now, old sheets are great, but there's a trick you have to watch for. Is your needle going to go through it? Some of them are really, really tightly woven. So let me find an example in here. Well, here's linen. Okay, everybody says stitch on linen. Do you know what? There's tight linen and there's loose linen. This is linen, but it is not, it's okay for the small needle, but it's not really great for the larger needle. And it's going to leave a little bit of a hole, which you can kind of work out. So you could use it, but some of them are even tighter. All right, this could be an old sheet. Yep, I can tell by the seaming here. This is an old sheet, but this looks pretty tight. So my little needle's going to go through there. My bigger needle is going to be a little bit more of a struggle. And by the time I get my fibers in there, and again, that's going to leave a hole. It's not going to disappear as easily as it will on a piece of linen. Now you can buy cotton at the fabric store. It's usually very inexpensive, muslin, that sort of thing. But it's the same thing. Some of it, can you hear that? It works. But you have to think about what fiber you're going to put in there. That's a small needle. This one's larger. It's going to be a little bit more, it'll work, but again, it's going to be a little bit more of a struggle. That's just the trick, is you just got to pay attention to how your needle's going to feel going through. This is one of my favorites. It's a drop cloth, and you can buy these very inexpensively on Amazon. Your needle's going to go through, it's going to go through, and it's going to feel good. Now, you can use a backing fabric if you want. I use a backing fabric most of the time because my stitches are very dense and everything gets heavy. And so I want to make sure that if I'm sculpting hills or making little balls or something, that it's not going to pull apart. So what can you use for a backing fabric? The same thing. But you have to think, okay, can it go through two thicknesses? This is folded in half. That goes through two thicknesses fine. Let's try the cotton sheet. It's going to be a little bit more of a struggle with the big needle. The small one will go through. You can put cheap felt behind thinner fabric, you can layer it however you want to. Sometimes I'll put a hoop down and I'll cut lots of pieces of felt and lay them on top of, say, a drop cloth. And so I've got 2 layers there. You don't have to like put both of them through the hoop. So basically you can stitch on whatever you want. You have to think about 2 things. Is it going to be fun to stitch through? Is your big needle or your little needle, depending on what you're using, going to go through it just fine? So that, because I tell you, I have sometimes tried to stitch with a big needle and a fat yarn through something like this cotton, and it's not fun. And if it's not fun, I don't want to keep doing it. But you also have to think about what the end use is. If you're doing a decorative piece of art, it probably doesn't matter. Go to the thrift store and look for things like napkins. Okay, this is my collection of napkins. I'm always looking for those. This is a gauzy kind of one. It was really cheap, but you know what? I can just double it or quadruple it. It doesn't matter, and it's going to work fine. I tend to like background fabrics that are the same color of what it is I'm going to be using as a fiber, because that way the color shows through, you know, in the shadows. You could paint it if you want to. You can stitch on burlap. Let's see, I was going to look for something else. Oh, this is another great thing to look for at the thrift store. This is part of an old tablecloth, and this is a linen polyester. This is great, and I'll just double it, and it works out just fine. So basically, don't overthink it. Use what you have and stitch on what feels good. The rest of it is all just a personal preference. There are people that love to stitch on organza. There are people that love to stitch on t-shirt material. They love to stitch on denim. Figure out what works best for you by just playing around. Because remember, nobody's going to come looking over your shoulder and tell you that you're stitching on the wrong fabric. And you know, if you decide you like to stitch, which I hope you will, you can always upgrade your fabrics later. So hopefully this video helped dispel a few of the mysterious ideas some people have about background fabric, because really you can use whatever you want as long as it's the right fabric for the project. I mean, obviously you're going to use something different if you're going to put it through the washing machine than if you're going to put it in a frame and hang it on the wall. Don't let not knowing what to do intimidate you from getting started in stitch, because you know what? There are no rules, and there is no embroidery police coming to tap you on the shoulder and say, you can't stitch with that. Go have fun making whatever you want to make, however you want to make it, using whatever you want to use. See you next time.